We have seen the existence of art since human existence. We, as human beings, have indispensable needs. In addition to these physical needs, which have never changed since the prehistoric times, there are other needs.
Scene 1, Apple, take 2.
Because human creation was two dimensions by necessity. He has a mysterious metaphysics, which we call the soul, which is an external piece of meat. We needed the soul as well as the needs of the body. The spirit of the human being was a concept that integrates with emotions. Thoughts and emotions were actually abstract requirements that the soul activated. This concept of metaphysics was first made by Dr. Freud in detail. Through psychoanalysis, he tried to extract the anatomy of the soul and reached concepts such as subconscious, ego and id. That is when he began to better understand the human soul, then began to raise awareness of the already existing art. He learned that art is actually a necessity of the soul. Mankind was essentially hidden in a box that we call the body. Just as an automobile could see how aesthetically invented from the outside, it had a complex engine layout that could move it and make that metal stack useless if lifted. It was the spirit of human beings. Without it, no one could think or cry or laugh.
Have you ever had a dream, Neo, that you were so sure was real? What if you were unable to wake from that dream? How would you know the difference between the dream world and the real world?
It was the one who could fully provide the concept of life. The soul was abstract, invisible, untouchable, inaudible, but one could endure it until some point. He was supposed to vomit overflowing thoughts and emotions in the soul, in other words, take his soul for a walk. This is how he became conscious in art. In the Paleolithic era, the first people had found a way to convey their emotions because it needed to do so. They started to paint on the walls of the cave with colorful stones, followed by music, sculpture and pottery. As time passed, mankind found many things as human became more and more conscious on Earth. inevitable inventions came along. With these inventions, art became more aesthetic and divided into many branches. After the Lumiere brothers discovered the cinema, and it suddenly became the seventh art. It was a very effective and intense way as art. Cinema as art was a very effective way of transforming emotions and thoughts into audible or silent motion images. In this order, what really could be called cinema formed tried to breathe in Europe. Especially the Soviet cinema men were struggling to apply primitive and raw cinema. Because as technology developed, the simplicity of cinema and its art form was harmed. Then gradually turned into a giant industry, the new order was now suppressing the capitalist order. It was impossible for cinema not to be a part of the system that swallowed the small fish in the sea, where big fishes are the majority, seeing 90% of the world as a commodity. As a matter of fact, when the cinema turned into the industry, film companies, studios and producers emerged. The cinema was making money. But need to say that how much art is there where the money is? Did a painter draw his paintings so that he could make big money if I painted this color, or did he capture the current melancholy and hit the brushes so his emotions would leave him alone? Did a sculptor make that statue because of the money, or was a photographer hoping for the sea in front of the setting sun? Or was he pressing his shutter to get a good landscape picture on the wall of a rich man's mansion? And did a director divert his thoughts to 24 frames per second, or did the filmmaker rolling the film to make money? Which was it? Especially as the cinema passed through this chaos, various filmmakers rebelled and issued manifestos before the inevitable end of the cinema came. One of the main reasons for publishing this was that the cinema turned into money, and the fact that making cinema without money became close to impossible. The restriction of freedom in cinema was more troubled by the confinement of the so-called budget. Besides, how much could we talk about art where there was no freedom? Everyone should have a film to shoot and a manifest to write, otherwise how will they justify their proposition that only unhappy people have a story? Jonas Mekas said in his manifesto against the 100th anniversary of cinema, "As you all know, it was the God who created everything on earth, and he thought it was great. All painters, poets and musicians celebrated creation with songs, and everything was fine, but it wasn't real. Something was missing. So about 100 years ago, God decided to create the cinema camera, and he did it. Then he created director, and he said, here's a movie camera. Now go shoot the film, celebrate the beauty of the creation and the dreams of the human soul and enjoy it." But the devil didn't like it and put a bag of money in front of the camera and told the directors, "Why do you want to celebrate the beauty and spirit of the world when you can make money with this device?" And believe it or not, all the directors went after the money bag. God realized you made a mistake. 25 years later he created independent avant-garde directors to correct his mistake and said, "Take it to you. Take it to the world and sing the songs of the beauty of all creation and enjoy it. But you will have a hard time doing this and you will never make money with this tool." Puget Strait of Cinema Association Manifesto says, "Film is an open art. Its range is as wide as any art." The fact that this is still controversial reveals how limited the American cinema experience is. The width of the cinema is virtually unknown. The audience of cinema is Balkan as much as the Hollywood company machines, which vomit the bile that everyone calls movies are. If the average adult spends 9 years of his life watching these films, he remains completely unaware of anything other than commercial cinema. This could not help adopting the idea that the film was as wide as any other art. We all know the silent history of cinema. When the sound came to the cinema, especially Charlie Chaplin said it would bring the end of cinema and expressed dissatisfaction. It was emphasized that cinema was merely an image and movement. Robert Bresson explained the balance between in the sound manifest for cinema. To know what is sound doing there. It should not repeat what is for the eye. If the eye is completely conquered, do not give anything, almost. A person cannot be an eye or an ear at the same time. If a sound can replace the image, cut or neutralize the image. The ear caters to the inward eye and the outward. The eye called alone carries the patience of the ear, the eye's patience and the ear called alone. Take advantage of this impatience. This is the power of the filmmaker. Be playful, discover meaning of creation, what is injected. Make up things. Art lives on freedom. Get enough information about the theory you create for emotions, but don't create it. Put your own rules, know your art history and philosophy. Be obsessive-compulsive without heartless art theory and understand the nature of paranoia. Be quick, don't have time to think deeply. Start in the middle of the search for origins. Not just an idea. Don't look for the truth, remember that truth is a fascist idea. Do not take advantage of the ignorance of the audience through ethics. Do not try to educate the masses, do not do educational art. Avoid saying, but act to show. Believe there are tons of manifesto to read. If you really are a filmmaker, do not assume that these manifestos arise from boredom. If you want to make sense of the seventh art of cinema, write your own manifesto and get lost from your spiritual thought world. Never take the money bag that Satan put there. Don't be a part of the mechanism of capitalism with the camera in your hand. Don't get lost in its complexity for money. Get lost in the complexity of art. So you're thinking. Don't let your emotions buy your thoughts and your soul. Whether there's the crush, stay behind the big shadows that money buys. But take your place in the chaos. Say hello to art. Only and only accept the order and know their rules, so when the time comes you can break the rules.